Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Stacey Ndusha. For those who are new here, welcome to my Flossom world. So today's video is very quick. As you can see from the title, this is more about just analyzing the difference between being successful and being happy. Yes, some people will argue that you can be both. But hopefully at the end of this video, you'll understand why I'm saying they may be more different than we actually think. So enjoy. So today we'll be having not necessarily a get ready with me. Sorry, let me just fix that lighting. This cat is everywhere. Not necessarily a get ready with me, but I just took out my nails and I want to just buff them as we speak, because today has just been more of a self-care day, I guess. Just cleaning up, organizing my thoughts, and just having... She's about to jump across the screen. Boop, boop. Anyway, so yeah, it's just been me. I feel like that's how I treat my Sundays. It's just me trying to make sure that I'm starting the week, without any baggage. Let me say that, because I feel like when we don't reset every week, or at least once a day, it becomes baggage. People think baggage are secrets, but that's exactly what baggage is. So speaking of baggage, today's topic is successful versus happy. So I'm not saying that you cannot be both, but I shall present my argument, and based on how you feel about the certain scenarios and everything, you'll tell me in the comments whether or not you agree with this. So I feel like this will be more about the differences between the two. Are you seeing this? I'm not disputing that they can be similar as well as different, but I just want to focus on the differences between the two, and maybe you can use them to measure where your finances, relationship, and emotional state, mental state is at right now. So that's the breakdown and the intro or whatever. So now the first major difference that I've noticed between being successful and being happy is the fact that okay, these guys are going to play right now, so you'll hear some noises. Via discretion. So the first major difference I noticed between being successful and being happy between being successful and being happy is that one is more focused on the end result and the other is focused on the experience. So as much as the go-getter energy that I talk about sometimes is that sometimes we get so fixated about what we expect the end result to look like, and then we realize that maybe it's not like that. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe I should try this out instead, like a variation but the same idea. And that's basically what life can be. So when you're trying to be successful, you have your end results in your mind and you want nothing less or nothing more than that. Sometimes you can aim for higher than that, but it's usually you want nothing less than that. And what that breeds sometimes is resentment and frustration, because you find yourself trying your best to make things happen and then everyone else is not getting the memo. I feel like that's what happens. Everyone else is not getting the memo. And so you end up you start projecting that frustration to your teammates or maybe your work colleagues or even your family, especially family. I feel like they're the ones who bear the impact of whatever is going on in your life, because they are your immediate friends and family. They are your immediate environment. They're the ones who will say, nowadays, what's happening? You don't seem, you're snapping at me. You're angry at me. What did I do? So that's what I feel happens in the case scenario of trying to be successful and trying to get the result that you want. Whereas being happy puts you in a situation where it's not that you have a scarcity mentality. It's more so that you're recognizing that what you have is enough for that moment that you're in. So for example, something I really love about social media nowadays is that people are not fixated so much on being like that celebrity who everyone else is looking up to. It's more about being authentic to your own journey and what you want for yourself, and what, like, you define your own. Everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. So being able to identify that, okay, maybe I want to learn a new skill every month or something of the sort. So what you do is actually take up space in that, like you actually think through the experience. Something I shared on TikTok recently is there was a guy, he's a psychologist. He's a psychologist. It's not those people. He's a psychologist, and he was explaining that sometimes what happens and why we are not able to change up the habits that we want to let go of, or the habits that we want to start doing, is because we get so fixated on, I need to run 10,000 whatever's, by this duration, and that's the goal, and that makes sense. But really, we don't even think through the experience. How will I make sure that I am at my optimum performance so that I'm able to achieve that result? So you see the difference between successful and the other one is that you're able to first say, okay, with the little I have now, how can I make it a reality? So maybe let's say you want to start gymming. It can be something as simple as going to buy the gym clothes. It can be paying for just a couple of days, then the rest of the days you work out at home, and then you build up to paying full-time membership. That's actually what I'm doing. And then because gym is hey, you think that 500 a day is little money. It's not. Gyms go all the way to like 20 G's, and I'm digressing. My point is, I'm not saying that you can't apply the happiness to the successful bit. I'm just saying that sometimes we get, we just want to see that you've checked that item on your checklist. But happiness is more about, like, am I actually enjoying this? People don't actually ask themselves that question. Is this what I want? Right? Is this an experience I want to maintain in my life? Is this something I can sustain? Because you've heard there's a financial implication about joining maybe the gym, or eating healthier, or having meal plans, or hiring a nutritionist. I mean, this is the year of the Lord 2022. We are hiring nutritionists. So that's my point. It's more about identifying the abundance. Like, I'm saying abundance, and I feel like it's misused in the social space. But what I mean when I say abundance is that we always have enough for that moment. Sometimes we want more for the month, for the what. But if you look at each day, you have enough for that day, for that moment, for that order, for that client. You have enough to give them, and never doubt that. So on to my second point. Another really distinct difference between the two is the fact that you're able to, if you're seeking to be successful, it means you're able to measure and quantify the variation in which you have been successful. Obviously, if you've been successful, let's say you got like a UN award, and then you were on Forbes, you're on something, it keeps giving you like a new ceiling to break and to aim for. Versus if you are in the in the space where you're choosing happiness over being successful, you're basically saying that I'm more focused on the quality. What quality of value have I added to those around me and to myself in maybe a certain time period, maybe a year, a couple of weeks, you're able to sit down and actually and say, has it actually filled up my cup? Or am I just wasting people's time? Am I bullshitting people? Let me tell you, I asked myself that question so many times, but I guess so far so good. And it's amazing to think that, okay, now we are bathing. I'm not showing you the process because I'm just like, yeah, we're not that kind of channel. I'm just trying to multitask so that my brain, I give my brain something to do, because it's a whole thing. So when you ask yourself questions like that, it helps you be able to pull out on things that are not actually adding to you. Let me give a very good example. When a business wants to be successful, they focus more on the quantity of sales, how many people were referred, what are other areas of growth, and you have all the data and everything, and you're able to quantify, do the projections, it's a whole thing. Versus if you want to find out the qualitative measure of what you've been working on, or of your life, or a certain area of your life, you'll actually be able to see what impact having that item in your life has had. Very good example is, I know we say that sometimes, there are different calibers of friends. You have friends who introduce you to new people. You have friends you go out with. You have friends you travel with. You have friends, there are people who there are people who, okay, I'm blessed enough to have people who I can do most of those things with. But sometimes it helps to diversify so that you don't put too much pressure on one person to be everything. Okay, so back to the point about measuring quality. You're able to decipher how your relations have been. Like, you can look at the clients that you've been bringing in. Have they been paying on time? Why are they not paying on time? Is it something that I'm missing? Did they meet my criteria? Sometimes, as much as I give leeway for the type of, yes, I have my criteria for what clients I want to experience and work with, but sometimes someone can be referred and you're like, you know what, let me give them a chance, because I don't think I'm at a place where I'll ever turn anyone who's come to me for help. Yes, there are people who will just be like, I can't help you at all, but if I'm not paying such a heavy price to help someone else, I am open to it. Sounds selfish, but you'll probably understand this one day in the future. So that's the thing. If you're able to sit down and be like, okay, it helps you actually see if you need to pivot. Even in the successful bit, it helps you see whether you're able to pivot, or if you're probably investing yourself, your time, your money into something that is just, it's not worth your time at all. It's basically just draining you every single day, and you wonder why you're tired, you wonder why you can't sleep, you wonder why you've been suffering from insomnia, and it's a whole thing. So yes, point number three. Let me get my other buffer. Come here. The day I bought these two things, actually, I can do my nails at home, I felt so girlish. I was like, who are you? Anyway, so now we are on point number 3. When you want to be successful, growth is expected. And there's actually a threshold of what percent it should be for you to be sustainably growing. Okay. Versus when you want to be happy, or rather when you choose to be happy, it's more focused towards, I do not want to be misrepresented by my words, but when you choose to be happy, it's more about letting go and making space. So it somehow feeds into the previous point where you're able to identify, yeah, this is adding value to me. Yeah, we can continue pursuing this. No, I don't want that. You're able to say no, nini. And you see, expected growth means you can't really drop projects. You have to keep going with them and pushing them till they show some sort of ROI, return of investment, basically. Nowadays I talk sijui how. Now we are peeling cuticles. I hope my nails talk here cute. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So because of that much needed and much expected return of investment, we have that dilemma where you ask yourself, am I ready to drop this thing? If you're being successful, you can't. If you're pursuing success, you can't drop it, because either according to your projections, you're still in that phase where you need to still grow kidogo. But if you're in the happiness stage, you're able to let it go. Or rather, if you identify with the happiness status, you're able to let an item go and come back to it and not feel shitty about it. I think that's the biggest difference about growth in those two statuses. Those two states, yeah. When it's all about being successful, it's more about, how it's perceived. And when you're happy, people are looking at you and wondering, are you stupid? No. Imagine, don't even give yourself pressure about those things. I would rather let me give a very good example. I've ever had someone ask me, but why do you live in a studio? I was like, girl, do you know how much debt a girl had to clear because she had decided she owns Nairobi? I chose to live in a studio so that I'm able to actually just give myself some ground, some foundation, some threshold that I can bounce off from. So living here not only allows me to save more for the next house, but it also shows me that it's not about how much you have. Imagine, that's what I'm realizing. It's not about, like, how many stories have we heard of someone who, with a very average salary manages to pull off something that even millionaires are just bleeding. Not millionaires, but wash, they are struggling to keep up with their bills. They always owe people money. They're always running away from the people that they owe money. It's a whole thing. Maybe I have such few people I can actually loan money. I am not. It's hard. It's very hard. But my point to this story is, let's learn to balance the two. There are things we can borrow from being successful, and there are things we can borrow from being happy. Especially about focusing more on the experience. And I think that's why user experience right now is booming, because we are now giving people value that they can actually see and feel. You're actually thinking about how they will interact with your product or service, And yeah, I think that's where I'll conclude this video. Almost done with the nails. So I'm really glad that I could do this. I was actually having a conversation with a friend, and I was like, you know what, this is actually a really good topic that I can actually cover on the YouTube channel. And you see, this is why you don't have cats, because they are just mannerless, but they are adorable, so they can get away with that behavior. Thanks guys so much for tuning in. I really hope you are well wherever you are, and Imagine, don't let me not say don't stress, because I stress a lot, like more than I need to. But what I'm learning to do is to let go. If at any moment I feel like I'm trying to force things, I just whisper a brief prayer where I say, if this is for me, show me that it's for me. If it's not, please take it away. Simple. It's a very simple thing to say, but you can, like, there's so many things I've been taken away that I didn't want to go, but you just accept it and be like, okay, yeah, it was supposed to be there only for a brief season, and I'm okay with that. Where there are bugs in the background, I don't know. I like this setup better. I feel like I'm having a conversation as opposed to when it's set up and I'm sitting at the table. I feel like I'm talking at you. But this one is just like two friends catching up and letting each other know how they've been, etc, etc. Anyway, guys, let me say bye the last time. I am so exhausted. Like, who thought cleaning takes forever like that? Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Mwah.